The brand new Ultimate Spider-Man doesn't have a proper suit, and the black one scares his daughter. So today we're going to be discovering what it means to be a hero for the new Peter Parker. This is Comicstorian. I take some of your favorite comic books, I turn them into audio drama so you know what's going on. Today is Ultimate Spider-Man number 3. Let's get into it. MJ and Richard stand at the door of the apartment, staring at Peter and May. I don't know. I think they're up to something. What do you think, Richard? She says to her son, and Richard agrees. But the two finally head out the door for a day of shopping after Peter wisecracks back on them. Peter smiles at his young daughter. You wanna? He asks with a raised eyebrow. She nods her head vigorously. Yeah, she says with joy. It's only a short time later that May and Peter are up on the roof, her with her own makeshift costume, and Peter shifting the color scheme of his. Well, I think it's gotta have a spider on it. It's still kind of scary, Dad, May says as Peter adds a spider symbol and webbing onto his black suit. He shifts it so that he then has a red hoodie over the suit. Like this? Less scary, more cool? But May grimaces. That's not cool, Dad, at all. You're so old, she says, and he shifts through several more designs until he finally settles on red and blue. Oh, I like it, his daughter shouts with glee. Peter motions to the city behind them. You want to take it out for a spin? It's only moments later that the pair are swinging through the city, with May weeping with joy as she sits on her father's back. Later, Ben and Jonah are staring at their new office, grimacing. This place is a dump, Jonah comments. Yeah, but it's our dump, Ben says with a sigh, pointing out that he spent exactly what Jonah allowed him to. Behind them, the door swings open to reveal Peter standing with a potted plant. Wow, this is not great, guys, he says as he walks in, offering them the plant as a warming gift from MJ. She sent it over to liven up the place, and boy, can she pick 'em. Just look at what it does to the room. It's like a whole new dump, he jokes, turning and noticing their news board, where the pair have been tracking the costumed attacks against Wilson Fisk. What is this? Peter asks, but Jonah shakes his head, explaining that since Peter still works for the Daily Bugle, they don't feel comfortable sharing information about a story with him. But Jonah then thinks about it for a moment. I suppose that there could be a quid pro quo situation. We might be able to give you a little information, he says quietly. Peter smiles, asking how can he help. Has there been any chatter over at the Bugle about a guy wearing a green suit waging a personal war on the Fisk organization? Jonah asks point blank. Peter rubs his head and explains that Robbie thinks that there's a story there and has been trying to pursue it, but the other higher-ups at the Fisk organization have been squashing the idea, pushing Robbie to cover up the costumed hero that's been swinging around the city as well. Ben steps forward, motioning to the map, pointing to every place that the green figure has been attacking Fisk. Classic good guy, bad guy situation? Peter asks and Ben shrugs. Or bad guy. After all, it is the real world, not some fairy tale. We shouldn't jump to conclusions, Ben says, staring at the map. And that gives Peter an idea. Later, he stakes out one of Fisk's locations as Spider-Man. He sits for a moment wondering what one is supposed to do to pass time on a stakeout. He realizes that the reason that people eat so much on stakeouts is there's nothing else to do but watch and eat. He messes with his webbing and eventually it starts to rain, so he has to make webbing to hide his head. I hate this, he thinks to himself. More hours pass and Peter finally decides to give it up. And just as he's about to leave, an explosion rocks the building. Peter turns in shock to see a green goblin chasing after a black-clad man with a bullseye on his forehead. Look at you, going after Mr. Fisk, pretending to be a predator, Bullseye jokes, as he leaps into the air, whirling around, throwing a metal playing card that stabs into the goblin's bomb, causing it to explode. The explosion knocks the goblin from his glider, sending him crashing into the rooftop. The goblin snaps as he gets to his feet in his metallic suit. He rolls over, firing a beam from his wrist launcher, but Bullseye dodges it, tossing more playing cards. A killer loose in the world, an actual predator. He laughs as he slams into the goblin, laughing that the goblin thinks that he could do any serious damage by going after Wilson Fisk. I work for the real masters of the world, the real power. I'm paid by the invisible hand to strike down those who forget their station, and I'm good at it. Bullseye raises a card to deal the killing blow, but a web wraps around his hand, and he turns to see Spider-Man watching them from the scaffolding. Now, boys, if you can't play nice, maybe you shouldn't play at all, Spider-Man says, cracking a joke as usual. Bullseye whirls on him as he rips away the webbing. Well, I guess it's my lucky day. I get to eliminate 2 problems at once, he says as he turns, tossing more playing cards. Spider-Man leaps out of the way, though easily avoiding them. You're gonna have to have better aim than that, Spider-Man tells him. I wasn't aiming at you. He motions to the scaffolding that he just sliced through. Peter turns as the metal begins to twist and warp. It then begins to fall on him, trapping him beneath it. Are you alive? I hope you are, and I hope it hurts real bad, Bullseye says, taunting him as he stalks forward. But that's when the Goblin hits him from behind. Bullseye turns, tossing more cards that slice through the Goblin armor, bringing a cry of pain from the Vigilante. Goblin falls to his knees, and Bullseye moves towards him. I'd tell you to make your peace, but that ain't how this is gonna go, Bullseye says, preparing to make the killing blow, but that's when Spider-Man is there, leaping in, punching Bullseye hard and knocking him to the ground. You okay? The Goblin says, and he thanks Spider-Man for his help, calling his glider. Who is this guy? Spidey asks, as Goblin cuffs Bullseye, attaching him to the glider, allowing it to fly away. I don't know yet, the Goblin explains. And he informs Spidey that they can't bring Bullseye to the police, since Fisk owns most of the police. So then what are you gonna do? Spidey asks as they watch the glider fly the villain away. Same thing as every day. What needs to be done? The Goblin tells him. Goblin then looks at Peter's suit, tapping a button on his armor. Suddenly there's a voice. Suit pairing enabled. Connecting. The voice calls out as Peter looks around in surprise. He hears the suits connecting and a voice announcing that it's deactivating. What? No! No deactivating! No deactivating! Peter shouts as the mask slides away from his face. He turns in surprise as the Goblin's helmet slides away to reveal Harry Osborn. The two stare at each other for a moment before introducing themselves. Well, Peter, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but the world is a strange and dangerous place these days. Do you want to get a drink? You want to talk about it? Harry asks with a smile. Peter stares at him for a moment longer before nodding. Sure, he says quietly. And that concludes issue 3 of Ultimate Spider-Man. Honestly, I'm stupid excited in the direction that this series is going. It's such a fresh take on the Spider-Man lore, mythos, and how they're changing it all around. The idea that Peter Parker and Harry aren't already friends, but they're going to become friends because they're superheroes, I really like that idea. But what is your opinion? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you want to get the next chapter of this from us, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thank you guys so much for your continued support, and I'll see you next time right here.